Toda pessoa que caso mental. Oh my gosh, when I read this, I wanted to punch something. This time, not even my face. I wanted to punch a wall. Hold on. I want to know that I'm being taken absolutely serious. Suit up, bears. Hi! What's up, bears? If you're a longtime follower of this little channel of mine, then you'll probably know I don't normally do a bunch of trending topics. I try to stay evergreen because, well, first of all, I'm not Sticks. And whenever there's a topic trending, you're gonna see 200 other channels talking about the exact same thing. And that is before they even get to me. But recently, I've been going down the path of binging Dr. Grande videos, as I'm ought to do, and I found this case.
36-year-old Sonya Massey was shot and killed by a sheriff's deputy inside her home on July 6th.
Now, you've probably heard of Sonya Massey because, well, for one, she's trending. And secondly, it's election year, so obviously they're trying to make it into the next George Floyd. We will get into some reasons why this is not working so well for the race grifting crowd. But first, if you like my videos, please don't forget to hit like and subscribe. And you can always beat the shadow banning by clicking that notification bell. Seriously, if you don't do that, you're never gonna know I have a new video. If you want to support my work, please feel free to help me out on Subscribestar. I'll put the link to Subscribestar in the description of this video. So I think it's best if I start by giving a little bit of background on the case. Then I'll move on to the timeline of what happened. And then I'll give you my thoughts on it. Sonya Massey was born on January 12th of 1988 in San Diego, California. She eventually moved to Springfield, Illinois, and no, that is not the one from The Simpsons. Anyways, this is where she worked at J&J Gaming, which is a company that makes arcade-like gambling machines. Sonya was a member of 2nd Timothy Baptist Church. She also struggled with lupus, which is an autoimmune disease. And according to her daughter Layla, she was also diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia days before. At the time of the crime, Sonya was living in a 3-bedroom house that was only 1,000 square feet. The short 7-foot walls and low ceiling allowed for an extra bedroom on the 2nd floor. Okay, nothing even actually happened here. This isn't part of the story. I don't know why I'm mentioning this. I think I looked up the house on Zillow and just trying to see how I'd build it. Feminism! Nope. One day I will go back to my homestead. The house had been purchased in 2018 for only $25,000, so you can kind of get an idea of what kind of neighborhood that was. Deputy Sean Patrick Grayson Jr. was born on June 7, 1994. He was 30 years old at the time of the crime. His father was a U.S. Navy SEAL. On August of 2015, Sean was charged with a DUI. The following year, Sean was discharged from the U.S. Army for serious misconduct. In his case, this is generally a reference to his DUI. He also accrued another DUI in July of 2016. That's not even a whole year after the first. Seriously, who hires a guy like that? Who? Especially to be a police officer. Surprisingly, in spite of all these red flags, in 2020, he started working for a bunch of different law enforcement agencies. He was doing this on a part-time basis. In May of 2023, he was hired by the Sangamon County Sheriff's Department, and this time it was a full-time position. Alright, now let's see what the result of that brilliant hiring decision was, now shall we? July 6th, 2024. Sonya Massey, who was 36 years old at the time, called 911 at 12:49 a.m. She believed there might have been a prowler outside. Her words were, quote, "I keep hearing stuff on the outside of my house, and it sounds like someone is banging on the side of my house. Could you guys come and see?" unquote. And then she hung up. I'll get to why I think she made that call later in this video. But anyway, Sangamon County Sheriff's Deputy Sean Grayson and his partner arrive at 1:08 a.m. The other deputy was never identified by name, so I'm just gonna call him Deputy 2, which seems to be what everybody covering this story is calling him. In fact, most of the 36 minutes of body cam footage came from Deputy 2. Why? Because big brain Grayson over there didn't have his body cam on, which, make no mistake, he was supposed to have turned on as per police protocol. If you don't see that little red light on an officer's body cam and he's talking to you, something's up. Just saying. Since the reason behind the police call was a supposed prowler, the officers proceeded to search outside her property. Here we can see that Deputy 2 was walking the area with his flashlight. There was a shed in the background and he took a look at that. He didn't see anything, so he went around front to see the front yards of the other houses nearby. He then noticed a black SUV of some sort in the driveway next to Sonya's house. It looked really vandalized. The front driver's side window was shattered, and there was another window in the back that appears to have been forced open. Neither officer found anyone in the area. At 1:12 a.m., Officer 2 comes to the door and starts knocking. So nobody's coming to the door, and the officers decide to call dispatch. Dispatch calls Sonya and they can hear her phone ringing, but there's still no sign of her. She would later say that this was because she was getting dressed. A few moments later, she yells, "Hold on," and finally comes to the door at 1:16 a.m., saying, "Please don't hurt me." The conversation at this point was a bit weird. She responds to the things the officers are saying, but she interjects, please God," in between her responses. She also seems distracted by the cell phone in her hand. The exchange continues with Sonya appearing to exhibit mental health symptoms. She tells the officers that she needs help and continues to say, "Please God." The officers ask her a couple times what it is that she needs help with, and she is unclear in her responses until she remembers she called them because she believed there was a prowler around her house. Both officers assured her that they had not seen anybody and got ready to leave. Everything indicated that the encounter would end right there, but it did not. Officer 2 makes his way back to the vandalized SUV so he can ask for a license plate check from dispatch. While he does this, Sean decides to ask Sonya for her ID, which makes no sense. It's at this point that she goes back into the house, and instead of waiting outside, Sean follows her in without asking for permission. Officer number 2 follows a few seconds later. We see Officer number 2 shining a flashlight into the other rooms. Sonya does not seem to be the best at keeping house. Her home is not suffering from a hoarder situation, but it is heavily disorganized. Sonya then sits on the couch, apparently still on a phone call with dispatch. Sean encourages her to hang up, but she keeps the dispatch officer on the line while she continues to look for her ID. For a moment, it appears that at this point, Sean just wants to get out of there, and he tells her all he wants is her name. At this point, Sean changes his mind and decides to once again ask for her ID. It seems he's being inconsistent at best. This is where he spots the boiling pot of water on the stove. Sean tells her, "We don't need a fire while we're here." Sonya walks into the kitchen, grabs the pot of boiling water, takes it to the sink, and starts running the faucet. This action prompts Sean to take a step back, which made her ask him where he was going. Sean laughed and said, "Away from your hot steaming water." "Away from my hot steaming water?" she said. She was perhaps distressed by the thought of scalding, so she said the following words, quote, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus," unquote. Sean responds with, "Huh?" causing Sonya to repeat the statement, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus." And this is literally where all hell breaks loose. He puts his hand on his gun and rather inexplicably says, quote, "You'd better blanking not, or I'll shoot you in the blanking face," unquote. He then points his gun at Sonya, yelling, quote, "Drop the blanking pot," unquote. This was so sudden and unexpected, so different from even seconds before, that Sonya is reduced to saying, I'm sorry. She then crouches down behind the counter, obviously terrified. Deputy number 2 has now drawn his gun as well, and both officers close the distance between themselves and Sonya. Sean is still yelling. From this point on, there is actual body cam footage from Officer Sean because even though it had not been activated, they are always recording, so the camera still had captured the last 30 seconds of footage from before even being activated. And it's from his perspective that we can see Sonya crouch down, grab the pot of water, and then appear to be holding it up between herself and Sean. It all happens very quickly. Sean reacts by firing his gun 3 times and dealing Sonya one fatal blow to the face. There isn't very clear footage of the shooting. All the crucial information is in a few frames of video. But we are going to analyze this, so stick around. As Sonya lies there in the middle of steaming hot water, Deputy 2 says he's going to get his med kit to see if there's anything that can be done for her. This is where Grayson says, quote, "Nah, it's a headshot, dude. She's done. You can go get it, but that's a headshot," unquote. He then said, quote, "Yeah, no, I'm not taking blanking boiling water to the blanking head. And look, it blanking came right up to our feet too," unquote. He reiterated this idea by saying, quote, "What else do we do? I'm not taking hot boiling water to the blanking face. And it already reached us," unquote. If you look at this, you can see that it's obvious that both officers in this situation were in a state of confusion. I'm pretty sure they never had to deal with a situation like this before. So they call in a 1078, meaning the officer needs assistance. They're like swearing a lot. After noticing that she's still breathing, but there's a lot of bleeding from her head, Sean changes his mind and says he's going back to the police vehicle to get his own med kit. He walks around in a dazed and confused manner. This is where all the other police vehicles arrive. Now, notice that he doesn't even have a single bit of urgency to retrieve that med kit. When he finally does, he forgets his disposable gloves in the car. So he has to go all the way back to get them, wasting even more time in the process. At 1:23 a.m., he asks the dispatcher, quote, "Does she have any call history for being 1096, unquote. A 1096 call refers to someone suffering from mental health issues. I think this is something that obviously should have been asked way earlier in the case, but oh well! So the EMTs arrived and carried Sonya out in a gurney. Grayson was heard saying, quote, "Yeah, I'm okay. This blanking blank is crazy," unquote. That was in response to another officer's inquiry about his well-being. He also stated, quote, "She set it up on purpose, so it is what it is," unquote. And added that he didn't have a choice because he was barely missed with boiling water. Sonya was then taken to HSHS St. John's Hospital's emergency room where she was pronounced dead. That's the F-bomb you drop when you know you're cooked. That's how you know that you're going from deputy to defendant. And the authorities agree with me because on July 17th, 2024, Deputy Sean Grayson was indicted on 3 felony counts. First-degree murder, aggravated battery with a firearm, and official misconduct. Some people are wondering why it took so long, but there's a period of confusion right after the crime. In fact, the family initially had no idea that Sonya had been shot by an officer. I don't know how they do things over there, but the first thing that anybody heard was that it was a self-inflicted gunshot wound. There's an audio of this right here. In fact, the family had no idea what really happened until one of the family members read about the killing on the internet. All right? Analysis time. I swear that this is one of those cases that you'd probably never have heard of if everybody involved had been of the same race. The most disgusting part about this is that the internet is making this into a whole, oh, it was because it was a black person getting killed and not, it was an innocent person that got shot by a psychotic officer. People are losing their freaking minds trying to make this into another George Floyd. But there is one thing that's not going to let that happen. Like I said, Sonya Massey was a practicing Christian, so I'm actually surprised that it got this far ahead in leftist circles. But of course, you have the race grifters, the race baiters involved, swooping down like the ambulance chasers that they are. Bottom-feeding scum, really. Even the White House had some intern type up a statement from Joe Biden on this case, although I doubt Joe Biden himself knows who Sonya Massey is. Or anybody at all, really. And everybody, nearly everybody, is focused on race. What they should be focusing on is strictly the evidence in this case. Which, by the way, it's not good. No, it's not good for the deputy involved. Either way, this is not a closed case just yet, and Sean is maintaining a presumption of innocence. Okay, the major point of contention here is that people are saying that Sonya hurled a pot of water towards the deputy. Nobody's gonna say that boiling water doesn't hurt you. I mean, there are some liberals arguing that, oh, so what if she threw the pot? It was just water. But the thing is, she didn't throw the pot. Also, I dare those people to get scalded. Those are like those people that say a .22 caliber round is weak. But if you offer to shoot them with the .22 caliber round, then they'll decline, quite politely. Unfortunately for Sonya's family, this has become heavily politicized, because people are more focused on using this to their political party's advantage instead of wanting justice for a woman that was shot, an innocent woman that was shot. And the people on the left are inclined to believe that this is just a crazy racist cop who wanted to attack a black woman for no reason. And the people on the right are here saying, oh, but she did throw the water, and it's justified. The cop should have shot her. There's no nuance there. But there is nuance on my video, because why? It's my video, and I do what I want. And of course, we're gonna see the usual suspects just saying, oh, but who cares? It's one of those people. No white person should be incarcerated for doing this. To which I say, are you out of your freaking mind? Do you want a sociopathic, poorly trained rage case who shouldn't have been a cop in the first place working as a police officer out there? He happened to kill a black woman, but that was just the first time his incompetence cost somebody's life. This could have easily happened with any person, like a white person or a child or somebody, anybody. This could have happened with anybody. It's like those cops that shoot dogs because the dog comes up to them asking to be petted. It's the same mentality. And I think that it's important to correct people from thinking like this, because when the Democrats come to take away our rights, you are gonna have cops like this coming to your house. This man has no business being a police officer. And people are gonna get upset. And people are gonna ask, why are you so focused on this kind of individual? We don't need them anyways. Well, it doesn't affect me. It does. It does affect you, like you wouldn't believe. If cops are allowed to act like crazy people, and then you make excuses for them because you think they're on our side, just because they're white, it's gonna affect you a lot more than you think. Okay, at this point, if you're gonna hire someone that's incompetent and should never have the job to begin with, just because he's white, then you might as well stop complaining about DEI, because you're doing the same thing. I'm gonna paraphrase Devin Stack here, but seriously, we need to rein in the rhetoric on this thing, especially when people on your side start becoming delusional, and if they're incorrect, that needs to be stopped. It matters quite a bit if the people that are on your side, in this ceaseless conversation about where we need to be going in the future, if a sizable amount of people, typically people who would empathize with your point of view, also make excuses for crazy stuff, then that's bad. That's bad! And look, even if this wasn't some kind of political battle that we were engaged in, and we were a society of, say, 100 people, and like 10 of them start believing in the Easter Bunny or something crazy, would you be like, oh, those people, they're just weird? But not only do they believe in crazy stuff, they go around evangelizing. Oh, the Easter Bunny? I saw him. I saw him with my own eyes. Yeah, it might sound crazy, but no, I saw him. He laid a candy egg. He's real. He poops out candy eggs. And then they go from evangelizing to aggressively calling you an Easter Bunny denier, right? Like, why wouldn't we care? They're standing over there like, oh, the unbeliever. Oh, it's the unbeliever. They're sitting over there in their little high horse like, oh, it's the unbeliever. The unbeliever. No. Like, why wouldn't we care? Why care that some people believe in made-up historical events, right? Why not just let them have it? Let them have the made-up historical events. That doesn't affect me, really. Big lies, they don't have any effect on society with smaller groups or whatever. No, it's totally fine. Just let people have completely insane information. Isn't that the opposite of everything we want? Like when we point out the IQ differences between certain groups. And one of the huge conflict points between those groups is that you cannot tell one of these groups the truth about why those disparities and outcomes take place. They have to lie and pretend that all groups are equal, and that's not a genetic thing at all. I mean, are you insane? Do you not understand the value of having people believe things that are true and not entertain falsehoods? It does not benefit our people to believe in insane things. But for me, the most unexpected twist of events was Officer Tatum's response.
I have to say, I think that this is justified, but it could have been avoided, but still justified. You can't throw boiling water on a police officer and not get shot.
I'm pretty sure this is gonna be his angle throughout the entire video.
This video is brought to you by TatumStore.com. TatumStore.com get you one of these shirts. Link is in the description section. Discount code will pop up right here.
You know, it's funny that his shirt has the Trump assassination attempt on it. Because that picture was taken, 10 days before he made this video? So it really feels like as soon as they tried to kill Trump, it was like, yeah, let me put that on a shirt and sell it. Put it on a t-shirt, because I don't want to hear it.
Here, like this video, hit the like button.
Let's see how many people actually did like this video. Damn,
Let's get into this. Ladies and gentlemen and ladies, the deputies in Illinois in hot water, no pun intended. Allegedly, and through the documents, and when I say allegedly, because I don't believe none of the news says, and I don't believe the outcome of some of these cases anyway. However, I'll just use the word allegedly.
And that's perfectly valid. You know, a lot of the time the media's outright lying to us, but we have full proof right here.
So they responded to a prowler call, which means a person who's lingering or loitering around the property, potentially going in the backyard, searching through stuff. Could be an individual that could be looking to burglarize a facility. Benjamin Crump is on the case, so you know it's all BS.
Benjamin Crump, yeah, there's that race grifting I was telling you about.
We would never hear about this case if the woman was white and these officers were white, or if the officers were black and this woman was white. You'd never hear about it whatsoever. The only reason we're hearing about this is because Benjamin Crump is trying to get some money and trying to get a payout.
Yeah, that's pretty much why we're hearing about this. Got that part right.
I think that things could have been done differently. Maybe those things would have saved her life.
Oh, I don't know. Perhaps the fact that he shot her in the face.
There's a lot for me to talk about, so I'm going to just get the video started, and I'm going to go methodically through the video and bring it up. I'm open to somebody disagreeing with me if it's justified or not. I don't think every police-involved situation is justified.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because I am definitely in disagreement with you.
In this specific situation, I thought it was unjustified before I watched the video. That's why I want to review it with you guys. Roll the clip.
Here, grab your ID for me.
Okay.
Your ID. One task at a time. So let's do an ID, and then you can dig around for your paperwork.
I don't know where my ID is.
You have that stack right there, maybe?
You're going to be seeing a lot of that tattoo. All the people yelling about, oh, white supremacy. Yeah, those people are the same people who think that tattoo belonged to Officer Grayson. But that actually belongs to Deputy Number 2. And the reason why they talk so much about this tattoo is because it's the Viking compass. Those people associate anything Nordic with Nazism. But it's really something that you see a lot in RPGs. Don't you use your fancy mathematics to muddy the issue?
Stack right there, maybe?
A second.
Check on her.
Let me get this.
No, we don't need a fire while we're here.
Right. Okay.
Notice that the officer asked her to go over there and turn it off instead of asking if he himself could go there and turn it off. So that was already a mistake to begin with. Because if he really was so worried about steaming hot water, why would he ask her to go near it if he thought it was a weapon?
Okay, so they said we don't need a fire in here. Maybe she should check on the food, right? So she's probably discombobulated, rambling, and doing all these other things. She seems to be someone who's struggling mentally, right? There is training that officers are supposed to undertake to help them mitigate conflict with people who are struggling with mental illness. Because you're mentally ill don't mean you deserve to get killed over something, right? So officers should be trained and adequate enough to deal with a person and keep things calm so they don't have to get into a deadly force situation. They asked her to go and turn that fire off because they didn't want it to catch on fire while they were over there talking to her. And this is what happens next.
Yeah, the water was definitely gonna catch on fire.
Where you going?
Away from your hot steaming water.
Okay, so here they're actually laughing, and laughing is a way of relieving tension.
Away from my hot steaming water?
Yeah.
Oh, I would rebuke you in the name of Jesus. I rebuke you in the name of
Better fuck.
Okay, so now she has the boiling hot water in her hand. It seems like she poured it out, but I guess she didn't pour it all out. And then she started making statements to them. I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. Now, as a police officer, you're talking to somebody who's mentally unstable. Now she has a pot of boiling water in her hand. And now she's starting to turn.
She wasn't starting to turn. Her face turned to look at him because he was putting his hand on his gun. And then he suddenly starts acting like a crazy person. So if you're familiar with deliverance ministry, this guy is manifesting a demon.
Your antennas will go up if somebody's now talking, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus, you become the enemy. They got a pot of boiling water in their hand, and now they're rebuking you in the name of Jesus.
Well, what do you think she's trying to do? Melt the witch? I'm surprised that Officer Tatum, out of all people, would think that this is a threat. Now I'm wondering if he would have done the same thing if he had gone on that call. And why it's so surprising is because this is a common Black American expression in the South. And he put in her mind an image that she didn't like. And so she said, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. It's like knocking on wood. But of course, if this guy had a demon inside of him, of course it's going to manifest.
The question law enforcement officers should be asking themselves and engaging is that, what is she thinking, and is she going to turn on us? Is this going to turn into an altercation? This woman has boiling water in her hand, and she's rebuking us now. Now, this officer here.
Okay, that's not an officer. If you act like that, you're the one who's out of their mind. You're the crazy person.
Okay. Do I agree with the way he articulated what he said? No. I don't like when officers talk like that, because this is what happens when you end up shooting somebody.
There is no professional police officer that would ever say, I'm going to shoot you in the blanking face.
You look like a deranged fool and look like a murderous thug because you don't have enough respect and decorum and professionalism not to talk like that to people.
Yeah, you're saying that it's going to look bad in the footage. It looked bad then. Now, I don't know if he's familiar with the law in Illinois, but it's not against the law to practice self-defense if a police officer is unjustifiably trying to kill you. Otherwise, police officers could just start going to people's houses and shooting them up.
You may think to your mind, I'm gonna shoot you, you better drop it. Have a little bit of respect and know that you gotta cover yourself and be professional. So if the thing goes south, you're not on camera saying, I'm gonna shoot you in the head. That seems like an exaggerated, like a acceleration of force. He didn't de-escalate anything. He's escalating.
It's worse than that. He's initiating.
Now, this woman shouldn't have this boiling pot in her hand in the first place. She should put it down.
But she did put it down. She didn't have the water. She put it down. We'll get to that part.
This is an unsafe situation. Where do they go from here? So she squats down. He's on gun. I do not have a problem with him being on gun. Yeah,
let's not forget that while she's squatting down, the boiling pot of water was on the counter. But he was still telling her to drop it, drop them. And so was Officer 2.
Because he's the officer that's closest to her. And this officer is now over here. He don't know if he's on taser or not. In this situation, this is a small house and stuff can start getting active real quick. You're not going to be able to turn your back on her and run out of the door. At this point, you kind of stuck in a position where you need to be keeping your eyes on her because you don't know what she's going to do.
He could have very easily backed up. There was no reason for things to go where they went.
Now, I'll point this out. This is why I think that this is more justified than not. We don't know what's in that pot. Do you? Do we?
Look, if it wasn't water, it was probably soup.
Maybe now we do. But at the time, this woman is crazy and she's now manipulating this pot. How do we know she don't have acid in this pot or something even more dangerous?
Wait, what? What? You think that she's boiling acid at 1 a.m.? That would be the first thing you smell the moment you walk into the door. The fumes. Obviously, you're gonna smell that and you're gonna be like, oh, there's acid in that pot. It's not a thing where you just go there and you look and you see, oh, wow, I guess that might be acid. No. Oh, you did well killing that innocent young woman. She could have been boiling acid.
Now, officers' tactics is terrible right here.
Okay, why is Deputy number 2 pointing his gun at the back of Deputy Grayson? It's like, nice little formation there. Your partner killed the woman, but you're gonna administer instant justice by killing the officer. Great.
I'm not trying to judge them too harshly because, when the stuff is hitting the fan, You know, sometimes people, they lose all a training, right? And it looked like that's exactly what they doing here.
Yeah, it doesn't look like there was a whole lot of training going on before these guys got out there.
Let's go back to this real quick. You never get yourself in a position where one guy is in front of another guy if there's a deadly force situation getting ready to occur. You're supposed to be side by side with one another.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and just say that I think that Deputy number 2 had no idea that Deputy Grayson was going to lose his mind.
Because this is how you shoot your partner in the back if you're staggered.
Oh my gosh, no. Really?
You cannot have a gun out and be staggered. If you have a gun out, y'all both need to be on the same line. So what I would do, and if I was with an officer and he pulled a gun, I would pull my taser or pull my gun. I mean, really, I would be on gun if I was the cop on the right side, because it's hard for her to get over that table for the cop on the left, which is the guy has a gun. The cop that's standing right here, and this is body-worn camera, he's the one in the bigger threat. So he should have gun. Tell him to transition to taser. So if you have the time, the tactics, you say, hey, man, I need to go to taser. I'll be on gun. This did happen pretty quickly, so I'm not surprised they didn't do that. Because now...
Well, after watching this, I'm not surprised at all that they didn't do anything that made sense.
They're on gun, but they're not on line. So now the officer end up engaging, and the guy behind him can only do nothing but shoot his partner in the back. Now, see, there's sympathetic reflex, which is why this is so dangerous. Sometimes people get on the radio with the gun in their hand, and there's sympathetic reflex, which means that sometimes when you do something with this hand automatically does something. That's why it's so dangerous to not be online, because he could be like, oh, I'm getting on the radio. And he go to key the radio and his finger pull the trigger at the same time, he would have shot his partner in the back.
Okay, so I guess Officer Tatum forgot about trigger discipline. What he's saying is correct, but if you're Deputy 2, you probably shouldn't have your finger on the trigger. Thank
God he didn't do that. But he's completely flagging him right here. Completely flagging him. The gun is at his back.
That is a ridiculous muzzle sweep.
Gun is still at his back. I mean, he literally is going to shoot the guy in the back. Thank God he has a vest on. I get how it's getting active right now. So I'm not really trying to go too hard against these officers. I'm just saying, and after action.
Officer Tatum, do you ever go hard on officers? Because I've never seen it on your channel. I mean, I'm not going to say it's not there, but you seem to always take the side of the cops for whatever reason.
Report will be this, right?
Shots fired! Shots fired! Drop
Okay, now they shot her. So I want to get to the part where I think this is invaluable to play, because you need to hear what they say right after they shoot her.
Bring EMS now. We got a headshot wound to the female. Headshot wound to the female. 1078.
I was on.
So the guy didn't have his body-worn camera on when they got indicted. The other guy who was flagging his partner in the back, he had his body-worn camera on the whole time. Now, this is not too crazy. It's against protocol and policy. It's not too crazy because as soon as he turned it on, the body camera has a playback of 30 seconds to a minute.
It's still crazy because he still should have followed protocol. I didn't see them do a single thing right from the moment they walked in. At least Deputy 2 knew to shine the flashlight in the other room, but sure, he can pass as a cop.
It would have captured a shooting in his body-worn camera, which it did, as we're going to see here in a minute.
I'm going to go get my kit.
Now, if your head's not bitch, you're actually done.
What? What? You just shot the woman. It's a law in the state that you're in that if you're a cop and you shoot someone, you have to render assistance. You know, you can't be like, oh, it was a headshot. I'm magical. I can predict the future. No need to follow the rules. Yeah, you know, you're shot in the head. You're pretty much gone. But sometimes you're not.
You can go get it, but that's a headshot.
I hate this officer.
Now, people may interpret this officer as brash, and he's scared. This is
Oh, poor thing. He's so terrified and traumatized. Oh, it makes me really want to cry for him.
the officer that's flustered, and he's talking out of fear and being flustered. He don't know what to do. He's probably never seen anybody with a headshot, point blank, and he's responsible. He's flustered. This is
a case of he's trying to think how he's gonna talk his way out of this. It's all that this is. He knows he messed up.
an officer that's inexperienced. I don't care how many years he got on, he's inexperienced.
Incompetent is the word you're looking for.
I could see it in his eyes when he turned around and looked at this officer and said, no, it's done. It's a headshot. She's done. He's losing himself, right? An experienced officer knows it don't matter if it's a headshot or not. You go get the kit and you play house.
Yeah, that is actually the law, and this guy didn't seem to follow a single rule throughout this whole thing.
Or whatever you got to do, because you need to be showing every effort possible that you're trying to save this woman's life.
Yeah, this guy isn't being a police officer. He is LARPing as a cop. It's a cosplay. That's not a uniform. That's a costume on this guy.
Okay, that's a headshot. Yeah, I'm not saying it's boiling water. And look, it came right to our feet too.
Yeah, here you can see him trying to find all these different ways of defending himself, but he knows he's wrong. He knows he's gonna face the music.
You good?
I'm good. You good?
This guy has the vocabulary of a has-been hotel character.
Yeah, I'm good.
I get the impression that most of his shooting has been done on Counter-Strike. Look, he's talking about a headshot. That's what you do if you're a sniper. If you're a police officer and you've had any firearms training, it doesn't matter who you are, what do? You aim for center mass. You don't go off saying, oh, I'm going to shoot you in the face. Yeah, a headshot on that one. You aim for center mass, so it's less likely that you're going to miss. But he shouldn't have shot her in the first place. But the fact that he's so obsessed with, a headshot. This guy thinks he's playing a video game.
God, I got what you do, man. You good? All right.
Inexperienced officers.
Incompetent officers.
Both of them must be really young.
I don't know how old Officer Tatum is, but Officer Grayson is 30 years old. He shouldn't be walking around thinking he's in Fortnite. If he were actually in danger with people shooting at him, if he went for a headshot, he would most likely miss. Or he could miss, and he would get shot, and he wouldn't respond.
I know that there's a lot of things that go on when you actually take somebody's life. And people in the public don't understand this because they've never been a patrol officer and they've never done anything like this. So they think that you should act like a person would act sitting on the couch watching this. No, there's a lot of nerves and there's a lot of fear and there's a lot of stuff that go on, and these officers are not as experienced. So they're literally confused as to what to even do right now.
Well, that's why you follow the rules. They got training for what to do in situations like this. You have to follow the protocol. They have to render assistance. They have to call for backup. It's a number of things. You don't sit around like, oh, well, we just shot her. What do we do? I don't know. Do you remember? No. Do you remember? Do you have the manual on you?
What they should be doing right now is at least going, clearing the house, making sure there's nobody else in the house, right? Because there was a prowler call. The prowler could be in the back room somewhere. They don't know.
So now I'm going to address why she made that call in the first place. To understand why she said that there was a prowler banging on the walls of her house, we need to watch this video. There. See, this is what I'm talking about. You need to understand that this was shot on July 6th, which was only 2 days after Independence Day. So what happens on July the 4th? You shoot fireworks. And if you don't use all your fireworks in one night, what do? You light them on the next day, or the next one, and that's what's going on. There's fireworks going on outside. And she heard that, and because she has schizophrenia with paranoid delusions, she thought that was a prowler. And it's not too far off. It would be a scary thing to hear those sounds and not know where they're coming from. So her fears were not out of the blue or for no good reason. She was hearing all this, and that's how this whole thing started.
Clear the house, start setting up this as a crime scene. Go to the car, get your med kit, and at least see if there's something you could do to render aid. At least go get the kit. Start crime scene. Get on the radio. These guys are just literally talking in circles and not even getting on the radio and saying anything. They should say, send EMS. It don't matter if it's a headshot. You send the medical unit. Let them determine that. Send EMS. We need... let me just say this. I'm speaking from a municipality, right? That means we got a bunch of officers. These are deputies. They may not have none but them two on shift. I don't know.
I don't think the issue here is a municipality. I think the issue here is a principality. Yeah, as in powers, principalities, thrones, and dominions. This officer 100% manifested a demon.
But they should be saying, hey, we need somebody to come. I need a sergeant to respond, set up tape. They need to just start really working the scene because you never know when people are going to come up on the scene. Family members may show up. I mean, you never know. So you got to be active and going like this. But they're definitely inexperienced, and this is a shocking moment for them.
Well, I mean, what else do we do?
I'm amazed they didn't stop and just start, playing Candy Crush on their phones.
I'm not taking hot boiling water to the face, and it already reached us.
Bro, move like you have a purpose.
They got a 52 en route?
Yeah, 1078.
1078 means officer needs assistance.
And you can tell she's mentally ill because it looked like she's a hoarder. Their whole room is full of clothes from the floor.
Well, actually, no. There's no signs here of hoarder syndrome. She's just mentally disorganized.
To the ceiling. That don't mean she deserved to die, though. But
no kidding. You don't kill somebody because they're a hoarder.
We'll get to that.
She's still breathing, but she's losing a lot of blood from the head.
So, okay. So now they're finally starting to check rooms and do stuff like that. Let me fast.
Yeah, and he just admitted that she was bleeding. That meant that her heart could still be pumping. He should have went for that med kit.
Forward to the other body-worn camera view. I mean, they're still struggling to do anything. So this is the view from the officer that actually fired the shot. And this is where it changed my mind from thinking that it's unjustified to being justified. At first, I was like, it's not justified. Like that boiling water was nowhere near him. And then I watched this angle. So that's not, he pulls a gun on her. A threat of deadly force when you're in fear of serious bodily injury or death, threat of deadly force is appropriate. She ducks, could have been a deterrent, but then watch this. She comes up and throws the water at him.
See, Officer Tatum is making a very big mistake in this sequence. And that is that he is playing this with the sound off. So you're not hearing two things. First, you're not hearing him tell her to put the pot down, which, by the way, at some point she does put down. And you also can't hear him continuing to tell her that when she doesn't even have it in her hands anymore. Why is this important? Well, because he keeps telling her to do that, and the other officer keeps doing the same thing. So at some point, they're both telling her put the pot down, and she doesn't have it in her hands. So what happens? Well, she decides that means she has to put it on the floor. So she rises up and grabs it to put it on the floor. And guess what happens then? She is shot. So she is shot, which means she loses hold on the pot of water, and that is why it's tilted this way. See that? It's tilted this way because she's been shot. The little red mark right here? Yeah, that's blood. So she rises up and grabs it like this, and she's holding it like this. Exactly like this. And then she gets shot. So what do you think happens then? See, I'm not throwing it, but I am tilting it towards the camera. Now what I want you to consider is that the counter was 5 foot long. So the spot wouldn't have to travel very far to get to the office chair. She was in the corner. She was locked in between the sink and the office chair. So that's how the pot of water ended up on the office chair.
She ducks. Could have been a deterrent. But then watch this. She comes up and throws the water at him.
No, she doesn't, as I have just demonstrated.
Up from the ground and throws the boiling hot water on it at the guy. See? I don't know if you guys saw that.
It's impossible to see what's not there.
I'm gonna try to go back and capture the moment where she's. See her? See her coming up right now? She's swinging. That's the pot. She got one hand blocking her face. This is the pot that she's coming up from the ground and swinging at the officer like.
This is a complete lie. By the way, guys, I had to turn on the fan. Sorry, but it's really hot in here. See where he has a little arrow over there? That's the blood. That means she had already been shot. Now, at this point, what you are seeing is that because she was shot, she only has one hand holding the pot up.
If you ask me, this is a what they call a by cop.
What? A by cop? I just can't. Oh my gosh. I can't believe I've been subscribed to you for several years. And you just said the stupidest thing I've ever heard. A by cop? Huh? No! Hold on, I didn't think this is where we were going, but this is where we're at. Suit up, bears.
Which means that the person is wanting to die at the hands of cops, so they do something overt to make the cops shoot them. And why would this woman with boiling hot water in her hand go down to the ground and then come up to throw the water on the guy and then block her face?
Because she wasn't throwing the water. Again, that was a reflex that caused her to tilt the pan towards the camera. Because she was shot.
Like she's trying to block it because she knows what's going to happen. Now.
So you're saying she wants to be killed, but she's blocking because she doesn't want to be killed. Think.
The shot to the head. When he first initially said, I'm going to shoot the person in the head. You are now getting yourself in a position where if you shoot this person in the head, you're going to go to prison.
Yes, this is called premeditation.
Because in law enforcement, we are trained to do body shots, not head shots. You are trained to eliminate the threat, not kill the person, if that makes sense.
Yes, that's the center mass I was talking about.
He could have shot her in the chest twice and she could have lived through this. But she would have been rendered incapable of pursuing an attack on him. Now, her coming from the ground and shooting up like this could be a defense of him saying, I wasn't trying to shoot in the head, but this is kind of like the angle that I end up getting, and I actually shot her in the head at least once. Like, I just think they go so far because it's a racial dynamic. You got a white guy and a person can't throw acid, boiling water.
Here he goes again with the acid. There was no acid. Maybe he's drinking acid.
Anything on you. Even in the report from CNN, it says that this is justifiable in the use of deadly force.
Yeah, you're gonna believe CNN?
100% justifiable in the use of deadly force. But they claim that they didn't de-escalate and they should have did other things to mitigate having to shoot her, but they didn't, so he got charged with murder. This is where they lose me at.
Yeah, well, sorry, this is where they're completely right, and he should have been charged with murder. And he was. Because I don't know if you know this or not, that's kind of murder. Shocking, I know.
Because hindsight is 20/20. The cop is clearly nice to her. He's talking with her. They're having a cordial conversation. He's not looking for blood. It turns south when she said, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. She got a boiling hot water, a pan in her hand.
That's because he manifested a demon.
And then he pulls a gun on her and she comes down here and then she jumps up and throws the pot at him.
And also, I see people commenting on other videos saying, oh, he didn't understand what rebuke meant. Okay, then what word could he possibly replace that with to make him act like that? Also, what 30-year-old doesn't know what the word rebuke means?
According to the law, this is justified use of deadly force. But they begin to add these caveats.
And also, according to law, had she thrown in the water, that would also be considered self-defense, because the officer initiated an unreasonable threat of violence. Her life was indeed in danger.
And say, well, in hindsight, after this has happened, you should have used a taser. But to be honest, a person shouldn't use a taser if they're this close to the person and they fear a dangerous situation. If you're faced with an incident like this, it's reasonable that a cop that probably doesn't have a tremendous amount of experience is not going to immediately go to training, right? I mean, some training that they didn't get. They're going to immediately go, oh, let me be calm. Hey, ma'am, please drop the pot. Sometimes the instinct is that, okay, if I threaten this person and if they know I'm serious, that'll deter them from trying.
That's it. Bye. I'm done.
He pulled a gun and she dodged. Totally justified. He don't know what this guy's doing. It happened like this. I just think that they're going after law enforcement. Benjamin Crump is a culprit in it. If there's a black woman that's involved in any incident, they automatically want to indict the police officer because they're white.
Yeah, while this is true, that doesn't mean that every single case is just race grifting.
About a racial thing. It's like they say Breonna Taylor was shot. They compared this woman to Breonna Taylor.
Sonya Massey was not Breonna Taylor. She wasn't George Floyd. She wasn't any of those people. She was an innocent victim of an insane cop. And the reason why I don't think that they're going to be successful in making her into another George Floyd, because you remember they were all going around saying, I can't breathe, I can't breathe. I have a really hard time believing that Antifa and BLM are going to walk around saying, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. Although they probably should, because they'll cast out a lot of stuff. I mean, can you imagine all these leftists carrying around signs that say, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus?
Breonna Taylor was different, this lady. They had nothing to do with a gun. Nobody was shot.
Then why bring it up?
How do they lump all these together? Because they wanted to be about race so Benjamin Crump could get a payout.
But you know what the problem is here? I think there's a part of you that's making this about cops. Because there's the blue wall of silence, and you guys just stand by each other no matter what, figuratively and literally. And I have relatives in law enforcement, and all of them think that this was insane.
Comment in the comment section, let me know what you think, if it's justified or not. I'm out.
Yeah, you're out, and I hope you never come back to law enforcement. But, I enjoyed hearing your opinion. See ya. You see, this is why I think that Officer Tatum is a DEI conservative. I didn't used to think that way, but after this video, and the one he made after it, ugh. And he made another video on this, basically saying that he's not going to apologize, and yes, it was justified, probably to make more money off of it. So he had a chance to make things right, but no, he just doubled down. In fact, I think that his whole purpose and reason for success is making boomer conservatives feel that they're not racist because they watch him. So that these conservatives can put him in front of these Democrats and say, look, see, our people are smarter than your people. Or something along those lines. I don't know, it's all just so crazy. He's kind of like those channels that have a black guy reacting to boomer music. Like, black guy listens to Led Zeppelin for the first time. And he's all like, oh, damn, those guys can really play. Oh, wow. Because this gives them the seal of black approval. See, I'm not a racist. This guy likes my music. The Democrats are the real racists. And that is how people like Officer Tatum have 3 million subscribers. In spite of saying that the shooting of Sonya Massey was justified, they're going to keep watching him. If you can't stand up for someone who was brutally murdered because of your alliance with cops, then that makes you just as bad as they are. Rest in peace, Sonya Massey. She definitely went up there with Jesus. Woo! You made it to the end! I hope you liked my video. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. The only way you can overcome the shadow banning is to click that notification bell. As always, stay awesome, stay positive, I love you all, and I'll see you in the next video. I love living here.